JD Fantasy Football.
He is starting Geno Smith over Jordan Love, and I hate this on so many levels.
Then Joe Flacco comes in like he does, with his cape on.
Well, good evening. This is JD Fantasy Football. Thanks for tuning in. We just got off of TikTok Live where Jordan crushed it. We are getting going on the TikToks and the YouTubes with the videos and giving start sit advice. We are very excited here at JD Fantasy Football. Hey, man, you scored 200 points last week in fantasy.
Yep.
Give us your victory speech. Like, what?
So many people to thank. I got to thank Cameron to start off because somehow I ended up with his starting two running backs, and one of them gave me 30 points this week. And then a very big cap off to the man, the myth, the legend, Saquon Barkley. It's like, oh, well, I was beating Lex already pretty badly to start off with, and then I was just on my phone, 70-yard touchdown, 72-yard touchdown. He's got over 300 total yards. Like, he literally out. The saddest part is if you're a New York Giant, you have to sit there and watch the guy you gave up for nothing get more yards than your offense got as a whole team this week.
So was Alexis okay? Was she too mad at you for you?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. The funny thing is because we made that trade for Josh Jacobs, and I'm like, "Are you mad that Josh Jacobs got 30?" And she looked at it. And she was like, "No, you would have beat me anyways, so it doesn't really matter that you got 30 from Josh Jacobs because she still has James Cook and stuff like that she'll play at running back." So
a lot of fun to watch that Josh Jacobs run for the Packers, man. He is looking good.
Yeah.
He is looking good. Well, let's get this this week kicked off.
The Injury Report.
Never gets old. Injury report for today. Josh Downs, no update on if he is going to play this week or not, but he is injured. He had a shoulder injury at the end. He went back into the game in the fourth quarter on the last possession after injuring it. Originally came off when they did scans. It was a little bit worse than they thought. He is week to week, but probably projections looking on the down slope for him to play this week. The man, the myth, the legend, Isaiah Pacheco has officially come back as a full participant in practice on Tuesday. Looks like we'll get him back this week. I don't know any limitations of what he'll be running coming off that injury. So Kareem Hunt probably still has a tiny bit of value. He's only projected for 2 points less, but if Kareem Hunt's a full go, we all know they love running the ball, and we all know Chiefs love themselves some Isaiah Pacheco. Tommy DeVito hurt his throwing arm last week. Is expected to, I believe they said he is on the verge of playing. So Drew Lock could come in if he isn't, but it's hard when you're throwing so badly to not injure your throwing arm. So he is projected to play. Devontae Smith's a game time decision is what it's looking like. So you guys might get him back. You might not. If not, see AJ Brown, probably another boost against crappy defense that they're playing against. Amon-Ra St. Brown is looking good, and he ramped up in practice today, so he is looking like he's on the trend to be playing. So that's good news for Amon-Ra fans. And Brock Purdy, able to throw a little bit light on Monday. Still not sure what's going on. It's San Francisco. They are the ultimate Christian McCaffrey's going to play week 1 and doesn't play until week 11 team. So, he's resting his arm today, and he will see how he feels on Wednesday. So no promises either way what's going to happen with him. And J.K. Dobbins is also projected to not play this week. So,
okay. Well, Jordan, normally I go first on sleepers, but your sleeper of the week, I've got to hear it first. What you got?
Sleeper of the week. See if we can't go 2 for 2 on you having to pick up. Now, this week, sleepers aren't as important because, Bimageddon isn't again until next week. So most people are playing absolutely everybody that they have. But if you have to take a sleeper on this week specifically, uh, A. Mitchell for the Indianapolis Colts is who my sleeper is this week. With Joshua Downs probably out for this game, I think he could definitely get a good week of targets and playing more consistently. Those targets are going to have to go somewhere. They aren't all going to go to Michael Pittman Jr. So I think this is an opportunity. New England is not the best defense, and you can throw on them. I think he could potentially have a good game this week. Once again, kind of like Abdullah, you're just hoping he gets into that end zone, and it's a payoff for the value that he brings. He's probably still on the waiver wire for most leagues. I didn't see specifically what that was, but that is somebody you could go out to go and grab if you're looking to fill a spot in your receiving core.
Man, you are on a literal hot streak right now with your sleepers. It is kind of ridiculous. So my sleepers, my sleeper is Gus Edwards. He has been humdrum, ho hum this whole season, but this is his chance. Unfortunately, J.K. Dobbins left the game. It sealed my victory. Helped me beat Tay. But so Gus, he came in, he got 7 points and a touchdown against the Ravens. He's not explosive. That's the problem with him. He gets about 3 yards a carry, and you just hope he gets in the end zone. He doesn't catch passes, and neither does Quentin Johnson. The offensive line's been really good. The Chargers have a ground and pound kind of philosophy. They want to run first and then get their quarterback going. So that could work out for Gus Edwards. So if you need a running back or a flex position and you've got some injuries on your team, Gus. I saw that Taylor has Gus on his bench behind J.K. Dobbins. So that was actually a good pairing of a starter versus backup for Tay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'll go ahead. I'm gonna go into it. My boom for the week, dude. Baker Mayfield. Dude has a reputation for toughness, and Cleveland just ran him out of town when he thought he had keys to the city. But you can say all you want about Todd Bowles being a defensive coach. They can't play defense. They are outscoring people when they win. And Baker's they're going over 250 pass yards per game. So losing Godwin, that hurt them, but they've got Evans back. Cade Otton's done really well for them. Their remaining schedule is really good too. They've got Carolina twice. They've got New Orleans. Even if they don't win games, I expect Baker to just continue to just boom there in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I think that's a great choice. I'm going with the receiver. This may seem like an obvious boom because he is the best receiver right now, one of the best receiver in there. But of course, my boom this week has got to be Jamar Chase coming off a bye. There's a lot of teams that felt that last week. He has been carrying a lot of teams to victory. Finkel, I think, still got the win, but it was with like 102 points or something like that. Right before the bye, he had back-to-back monster games. He's gotten over 11 targets in 4 of his last 4 games with a high of 17. The team is wanting and having to throw the ball. That defense for Cincinnati is no good, and they are giving up points. So they are having to throw in abundance. I don't love the matchup, but Chase is a guy who matchup doesn't really matter. He still puts up 20.4 fantasy points against a good Philly secondary and 26.5 on a good Chargers defense. He's kind of unmatchable. So I think he's basically in for a 20-plus game every week to here until the end. I hope, other than the last week when Finkel Einhart plays me. So
what do you think is going to happen in that game? We've got Bengals Steelers. What do you think? How do you think that matchup goes?
I think Jamar's still going to get good amount of points. To be honest with you, I don't think that I don't think anyone's been able to really stop him when they're on that, and I think they're still going to be throwing. Who knows if they're going to be up super a whole bunch, because this it's typically a Pittsburgh game. and they're just going to run the ball, play good defense, and their passing game has gotten better, but they're not really known for being in like high scoring shootouts. But I still think Jamar Chase is going to have over 20 points if I were to predict it.
Okay. That's great. Tell me about your bust.
My bust, and I'm sorry I have to do this, Dave. My bust is Kyron Williams.
Oh my gosh.
He has had 0 receptions in the last 2 games. He scored a touchdown last week, but still only put up 11.2 points on the week,
Yeah.
which is tied for the best that he's had in the last 4 games.
It hurts, man. It hurts.
It's a rough one. Saints are the 20th against the run, so it's not like they're an amazing team against the run. But a fun stat is that they have only allowed 2 runners all year long to go over 65 yards, even though they've held the team to over 100 total rushing yards. There hasn't been more than 2 people who have gotten 65 total yards on them, which is a sneaky stat there. Although, who else are you going to run on this? Stafford's pretty much a statue, and they're not playing Blake Corum very much right now. So it could still be a good week for him. He could be one of the statistics that go over, but man, he has been a guy who you think has been tearing it up all year long, has just been on a bad drought for the last 4 weeks.
Pretty much since I traded for him. I think I got 1 good week out of him, and then he's just kind of been middling.
Yeah.
That's been a tough one for me. Yeah, my bust, and I hate to do this, not to you. But it's Quentin Johnson. Okay, and the only reason I say that is because, I mean, let's face it, he wasn't expected to be a monster player this year, right?
No.
But I think the story is interesting. He's boomed twice, he's busted twice, but the story is drops. In college, he had a history of drops. Like, they were really concerned him coming out of the draft. Yeah, he's a good player, but he has kind of a high drop percentage. He hasn't had any drops this year until last night. He had 3 drops, and it's the only game that I've played him. So whatever, Quentin Johnson. Okay, you don't have to be your old self when I put you in there. And then I heard a TV personality. He was like, "Oh, I know what kind of pass. He's a concentration pass catcher. Like he needs to he's got small hands, and he has to focus on every detail to catch every pass." And I was like, "What on earth? This is an NFL receiver who's had a decent year." Oh gosh, but he's had 3. Let's see, he had 5 targets, no catches, 0 points last night. Game before that, he had 8 targets, but only 2 catches. One just happened to be a touchdown, so he got some points. Anyway, I'll keep him on my roster. I'm not dropping him yet because he does have a nose for the end zone. 6 touchdowns, and just he's been injured half the season. But man, he nearly
those
cost
were
me.
bad misses.
Yeah,
those were bad misses. Those were someone's like, "Oh, he's got a contrary, you got little hands." Those things were hitting you in the middle of your little hands. It wasn't like it was like, "Oh, he has to concentrate because he was stretching out here and grabbing it one-handed and getting hit at the same time." It's like some of these passes were just in your freaking breadbasket on clutch 3rd down plays. Oof, rough to watch. That was hard to watch.
And it may have
did lose them the game.
Maybe it was just because it was a primetime game.
Yeah.
I don't know if the pressure was just higher, if there's something going on in his life.
Listen, it took Kirk Cousins a while to get over that.
Yeah, the Achilles.
I'm just talking about primetime.
Oh, okay.
He was bad at primetime all the time.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know what it was, but it's not like Herbert throws balls that are tough to catch.
No.
He throws a great ball. Yeah, Lad McConkey doesn't seem to have any problems catching passes from him. So, yeah, come on, man. Don't be my bust. I'm going to keep you the rest of the year. Do not bust for me.
Do not bust for me, he said.
Let's get into matchups, man.
Let's go. I want to start off on your matchup. I have I think that this is going to be a great matchup. Definitely a candidate for game of the week. Lots on the line. Finkel Einhorn trying to keep his number 1 spot over me. because I had 211 and he had 102 points, I am now the point projector. So if you beat Finkel Einhorn this week and I can keep my points within 24 of him, then I am officially number one in the league, which would be fantastic. Um, Now, the things that are scary about his team, Bucky Irving, 16 and 18 touches the last 2 games, with 6 coming as receptions on the last one. He's coming to be the number one back in this. He is showing how good he truly is and why they drafted him. He definitely is the number one guy. He has become the number one guy here. Now, there was a time when he was injured, where he was playing on an injury. And so they did say he wasn't going to be out, but he was still going to be involved, but wasn't going to take the full load. And it seems like he's getting healthier week after week after week, and they're starting to trust him to get those touches. And he is showing out when he is getting those touches. Last week having a pretty decent week. So George Kittle on this team is also Mr. All Reliable. He is tight end number 2. He has only seen over 8 targets one time this entire year. He is a touchdown machine. He has 8 touchdowns on the year. He is who they go to in that red zone area. And, as long as he keeps continuing scoring touchdowns, he'll continue to be a tight end too. I mean, for example, Trey McBride, who is the number 3 tight end behind him, has a lot more targets and he has 1 rushing touchdown. So he has 7 more touchdowns than Trey McBride already this year. So he is just a target, a monster in that red zone. Overall, this week, I think I'm going to take you out of pure hope that you just destroy him so I can get that first place. But it's going to be a close one. I mean, it's all going to come down to a few factors.
I mean, there is reason for hope because Kyron Williams, he's going to boom, okay? And you know who else is going to boom? Freaking Alvin Kamara against the Rams. Yeah. That's going to be the guy for me. Tua and Tyreek, they've got a tough game against Green Bay. Prime time in the cold. We don't know what Tua is going to. I mean, I'm hoping that he scores a lot of points and loses the game as a Packers fan. But Aaron Jones is going up against Arizona. He's going to get his steady numbers. CeeDee Lamb still getting targets with Cooper Rush. Whoever it is, you can't stop CeeDee Lamb. He's going to get his points. Yeah. So I think Finkel's got some good people on his team, but I think he's got some tough matchups for his team this week. And I should carry the day on that.
Like it.
Look, I'm just going to talk about Skip's team just briefly. Let me pull him up real quick. Let me pull this up. Yeah, here it is. All righty, so I got Skip's team here. And this is all that I really have to say about Skip, is that Skip, he needs this win. He is teetering on the edge of not making the playoffs in his own league.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to be tough sledding for him. So Chase Brown versus the Steelers. Steelers, they give up air yards. They do not give up a ton of rush yards, generally. They are going to slow Chase Brown down. That's going to be a problem. Josh Allen versus San Francisco. Josh Allen probably still gets 20 points, but probably not 30, which is what he's going to need. Those are tough games. And outside of that, I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr., up and down. Calvin Ridley, what can you expect? Jonnu Smith, maybe something there, but now you're down to your guys that are scoring 10, 12 points a game. Not enough. I do not think Skip wins this week. It is unfortunate. He absolutely needs it. Obviously, he's dropped his kicker and he's going to pick up a kicker. It's not going to save you, bro. Alexis is coming for you. So yeah, and
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt gets Pacheco back potentially, which is a problem. So Skip, not your week, bro.
Not as weak, and I still think Christian McCaffrey, but he's going to get back to his old self. Everyone needs to realize that he was out for 12 weeks. He was out for he was during the offseason. This is his first time coming back. He's just getting back into the motion of things. But I think he's going to have his mojo back and could potentially be a league winner if he comes back to being anywhere near what Christian McCaffrey was last year. He plays Buffalo, who allows the second least rushing touchdown, but is ranked 13th in yardage. So they're pretty decent running defense. But I think Brock Purdy comes back. Then Christian McCaffrey has himself a good game and is starting to find himself. Zay Flowers could have a rough week with playing the corners from Philly. But overall, he has struggled the last few games, which is okay. Because I think overall she is still going to be projected to win this week, even if Zay Flowers only puts 7 to 10 points this week. I think she's still gonna win this week.
Yeah, I agree, man. JSN's gonna have a tough week against the Jets. That defense still good, but
It is, but I mean, JSN is coming to find that he is trying to make his name as the alpha on this receiving core.
yeah, he sure is. Let's move over to Caleb and Mahomes. I just wanted to just Mahomes, just to harp on what we were already talking about. T. Higgins, I expect him to do fine against Pittsburgh. They've been a good team, but they do give up pass yards, and we talked about that. But the Bengals are they just seem like they're losing shootout after shootout. Joe Burrow is pulling out his bleach blonde hair as he watches all his gems being wasted. But T. Higgins, I mean, he averages 13 yards per catch. He's been a big threat guy, and I think he's going to really help Mahomes here. Achane is special. Gosh, I mean, he's not a 5 yards per carry running back. He's not one of these guys that's a bell cow that just gets you 4 or 5 yards every time he touches the ball, but he scores touchdowns. He catches the ball like a receiver. He's fast as anyone on the field, and they just know how to use him in that offense. He's going to give my Packers a freaking headache on Thursday night. So I still have a Caleb winning, but Mahomes, he's going to do all right.
Yeah. So Caleb, on his team, he's got the best quarterback in the league right now. Number one ranked Lamar, averaging 24.7 fantasy points per game. Cooper Kupp has been making a comeback and is already ranked 14th in the receiving or in all receivers with missing 5 games. That's just how good he is when he's on the field. And even though he's gotten over 120, Caleb's only gotten over 120 points 4 times this year. He had a huge week last week, and I think he can again get it, especially if Spears is out for Titans, because Pollard has just been getting an absolute absurd amount of volume compared to the rest of the year with Spears injured and off, and it's paying off for him. So I also think that Caleb's going to win this week just off of the mere fact that I think his team is starting to come together. And as long as Spears is out, then you're going to see Pollard get 24 to plus touches in this game.
Man, I like that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Mark Andrews do better. I don't know why he's still a reliable like third down valve, but he just seems to have taken a step back in that passing game.
Oh yeah, he hasn't gone over 7 targets all year long. I mean,
Crazy.
He's getting touchdowns, but it's just insane. He's not the guy that you thought he was a year or 2 years ago. So yeah, it's really unfortunate because he was drafted high. Like that was a high pick.
Yeah.
So
no one saw this drop off.
No one did. So let's move on to you want to move on to the Bears, or do you want to move on to my game?
Let's talk about your team. What you got on your team, man?
Well, how do we talk about my team without talking about Mr. Saquon, the new King Barkley? He has put up 61.2 points this week, 270-yard plus touchdowns. That is 10 extra points on him for in just that, not including 200 yards for +5. So he gave me 15 plus bonus points last week. alone. Now, in the last 2 weeks, he has scored 97 points. Just there are a lot of running backs in this league who don't have 97 points all year round.
Nasty.
So
Nasty.
he has 4 touchdowns during that last 2 game period. 3 of those touchdowns are 70 plus touchdowns. He's just dominating right now, and it doesn't seem like anyone can stop him. And I have to talk about my boy and your boy, of course, Josh Jacobs. Dude got 29 touches and 3 touchdowns last game. He has been an absolute banger these last 5 games. He had a hard game against Detroit in the middle of the 5, but he's been over 20 points in 4 of the 5 who aren't the Detroit Lions. I think he still is going to have a good game against Minnesota. Green Bay has proven they want to run the ball. It turns out that they do want to run the ball. So Josh Jacobs, I think that's going to be it. And for me, I, of course, after coming off a 211 week, am going to, and just the only difference is Cedric Tillman. I got 211. Cedric Tillman only got me 2 points. Drake London was on a bye. I have Drake London back this week instead of Cedric Tillman with Cortland Sutton doing what Cortland Sutton doing. I think that I could take this, hopefully get a 150, 160 to really secure my place as first place in points this week.
Yeah, man, I need you to take Taylor down. That helps me out. But Taylor, I think he's got an interesting week in front of him. I mean, obviously he lost to me because he started Drake May over Sam Darnold and then J.K. Dobbins injury. So he probably would have beat me if he'd had managed that differently. But this week he gets Bijan back. Bijan is a Persian name that means hero. And he will have to be that to beat you, Jordan. Bijan he can't get his regular 18, 19 points per game. He's going to need to have a Saquon kind of game.
Yeah.
To get after you. But he's got Scary Terry, who popped off. He's got Jameson Williams, who's looked better and better. He's worked his way into that lineup. He's going to start Gus Edwards, I assume. So, yeah, I think Taylor's got an outside chance to beat you. Yeah, but it's going to be uphill. So I still have you winning, but Taylor does have a chance. He just needs those other guys to really do something special.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know that I have only one player on my team that is outside the top 10?
Wow.
Position.
Really?
Yeah, and I guess 2 if you count Kansas City's kicker, but I have number 3 and another 3 ranked Jaden Daniels, number 15 and James Conner. So that's the 1. But I have a number 8 in Josh Jacobs, number 10 in Cortland Sutton, 9 Drake London. Trey McBride is the 3rd tight end. Saquon Barkley is the number 1 running back, and Lions defense is the number 6 defense.
Man.
So,
gosh,
it'll be tough to beat this year.
You know, even though that Falcons offense isn't what they were hoping it was, Drake London still won that trade. Like, he still won that acquisition. He has loved having Kirk Cousins over there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right. What do you think about the Ben game? What's your opinion on Cammy this week? Is he going to get the question that everyone wants to know, Dave? Does Cameron get his first win this week?
So I spent some time thinking about Cam and kind of what's gone wrong for him, because obviously at this point you just feel horrible. Week 13, no wins. And this is Cam's problem, and it's right here. So he's got Chris Boswell, who is awesome. He's the number 1 kicker in the league. Very cool. Steelers, decent defense. He's got Brock Bowers, number 1 tight end this season, kicking butt. And then he's got Puka Nacua. But outside of that, he is horrible. He's 20 plus at all these other positions. Cam is really good in positions that don't matter. And that's been the problem for him all year. He keeps himself in games with these number 1 guys in these unimportant slots, but he can't win because he's got Rachaad White, who has almost lost that job. You know, Dowdle doesn't look like we've talked about the running game for the Cowboys several times. Anyway, Mike Evans is back, but he didn't have an amazing first game. Hopefully he gets back to his form next game. But yeah, Cam's just really good in areas that just don't matter for winning in fantasy.
Yeah. As for Ben, the biggest factor for Ben is always comes up with two things for me. One, how good is Jonathan Taylor going? Or I'm sorry, how good is Derrick Henry going to be? Because he is the number 2 running back outside of Saquon, the new King Barkley. But he is dominant every week in, week out. The other one is Taysom Hill. Can't Taysom Hill get him a 40 stack? If you can get him 20, I think he wins this week. Now, although Taysom Hill, although he hasn't gotten 20 in the last 3 games, he still does have, or Derrick Henry still has 13 touchdowns. Last week was the only game that the second game this year that Derrick Henry didn't score a touchdown. But he's going against Cameron, so you're probably going to guess that Taysom Hill is going to get 30, and it's going to be a game where Derrick Henry gets a 30 stack, maybe a 40 stack as well. Cam gets a lot of points scored on him. I think I don't want to go against the curse, and I want to vote for Cammy, but it's hard when every week everyone gets. Caleb got 160. Caleb's only had 320 plus games outside of the game last week, and he got 166 points playing Cameron. So he is on some bad luck. Skip the week before that. 144 points. We just talked about Skip's team and how he's in trouble, and he puts 140 something points down on Cammy.
Yeah, Ben last week scores 69 points. A pathetic offering. He had Ladd McConkey on his bench. Like, what is going on? He had in this week he's benching Jared Goff for Anthony Richardson. What do you think about that?
Ah, man. We all know I'm an avid Richardson hater. So, I mean, that is very obvious. Although, since he has been back, he hasn't looked absolutely terrible. Now, here's the thing, right? He had one game against the Jets defense, who's a good defense. Went 20 for 30, got 2 touchdowns rushing, 1 passing, no interceptions, looking great. But the other problem is that he played Detroit the next week, and he got back to the exact same person we knew he was. He had 11 completions. You're not going to do well when you have 11 completions. Your team's not going to do well when you have 11 completions. So it's really tough to go back to him. I could understand last week. I don't think I would trust him as much this week, coming off a game where he went back to kind of went backwards back to what his old ways were when it came to his accuracy.
Yeah, New England is not going to be kind to him. He's on the road. No. He's out of that dome. He played in Florida in college, so I don't think it's going to be a nice weekend for Richardson.
No, but did you know, fun fact?
What?
I was 8 points away from beating Ben if I had only played Saquon Barkley last week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Ben's team did not do well.
He almost outscored his whole entire team with one guy last week, funny. Which is insane. That just tells you how low of a week it was for him. So hopefully he keeps it up.
That was a great Anthony Richardson clip right there, man. You put it on tape. That was great.
Yeah. Let's go.
Well, I want to talk about Josh. Let me pull up his score here.
Josh, what's there to say about Josh?
Well, he's just fallen from his high throne that he was living on early in the season. Yeah, here's what I'm going to say is that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to go off.
Mm-hmm.
Montgomery is not 100%.
Mm-hmm.
He may not play. He'll probably play, but I mean, Gibbs is going to eat against the Bears' porous run defense. It is going to be ridiculous. He's got 11 total touchdowns on the season. He's going to be eating turkey on Thursday for sure. DJ Moore, question mark this week. He's coming off a huge performance versus Minnesota. Over 100 yards receiving, but can he do that against the Lions? I don't know. We shall see. I think Josh loses this one. He just doesn't have enough firepower. I've already kind of talked some smack on Hunter Henry. Um, yeah, it's going to be a tough week for Josh Foote. So
Josh is only as good as Ramondre Stevenson will allow his team to be, and
yeah,
that is not good recently. And even Justin Jefferson's been struggling. But with the Bears, this guy's team is very scary. He has 2 first-round picks as running backs. Essentially, he has 3 first-round picks with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jonathan Taylor, and Breece Hall. The problem is that Jonathan Taylor has not been playing well at all. Not even when Anthony Richardson was out with, Joe Flacco in. I don't know what's going on. Now, New England has he has been, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Even though he plays New England, he has a bye coming up and a tough first 2 weeks after the bye. He plays the Lions and he plays the Titans. This week, he's going to try and bounce back, but only scored over 10 points in 3 of the last 4. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nico Collins, and A.J. Brown might be the scariest wide receiver combo. And if he can combine that with Breece Hall and Jonathan Taylor coming back, he will be a scary team. But this week, everyone but Amon-Ra plays a generous secondary. So I have to take the Bears on this one.
okay. Yeah, I got the Bears winning this one too. Last week the Bears lost, scored 90 something points, but that was just because of the bye week. Didn't have Breece Hall. So I expect the Bears to bounce back for sure.
All right.
Who do we have left?
I think that's it. I think we hit them all.
We didn't even announce the freaking
game of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the game of the week's probably you or Cammy.
Yeah, I mean,
I think yours has more implications.
That's what I was going to say. It's like Cam's could be interesting, but
Cam could not been out of the playoffs, which is a fact, but it's not really a factor for Cam other than to get his first win. You guys have, you're fighting for the, to hold on to one of the top or bottom 3 spots for the playoffs, and Finkel could lose first place right here if he loses here against me. So, and then he has a chance to lose to me in the last week, and Lex winning and Lex taking second place away from him. So he could go all the way down to third place going into this. So,
wow.
Instead of playing like a Skip who could sneak his way in there, you're going to play more of a Josh who has been starting to fall down or something like that, which
could
be big.
Just to kind of go back to something, I did have 2 kind of like honorable mention sleepers.
Ooh.
Jeremy McNichols.
Yeah, so, that's a good one. That was like my original choice.
Eckler and Robinson are banged up, so McNichols is probably going to get a lot of touches. Not sure if that's going to amount to much, but that's a honorable mention. And then Tank Bigsby. Not sure what he's going to look back coming back, but I think especially when they get their quarterback back, maybe next week. Is that what they said?
Yeah, I believe so. Trevor Lawrence.
He does better when Lawrence is in the game. So Tank Bigsby, 100% with Lawrence. I think that's an honorable mention. Not as good as Gus Edwards could be, but those 2 are interesting. Deeper league sleepers.
McNichols is one for me as well. So
yeah, I don't really know a lot about McNichols.
Yeah,
small sample size.
Yeah, but I mean,
but he's going to get touches.
Yeah, when any of the other people were hurt, he's the one who came in and got touches. Chris Rodriguez Jr. will also get some touches if both of those guys are out. But McNichols should be the guy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
Guys, catch us live on TikTok. Check out our videos on YouTube. Check them out on TikTok. We've got the podcast available on Amazon Podcasts as well as Spotify. Check it out wherever you can find stuff. Appreciate you guys a lot. Anything else from you tonight, Jordan?
No, I just want to remind anyone who is watching this or listening to this, we really do appreciate your guys' support. For those of you who didn't make it to the playoffs and have already been kicked out, remember next year is just around the corner. There is revenge. War can be shed. My name was out for blood this year because I took second last year and I was out for blood for first place. And here we are. Started 0-6 before and already clinched the playoffs. For you who have clinched the playoffs, don't put your foot off the gas. Keep getting your free agents. Keep pushing because the playoffs are around the corner. And it doesn't matter if you went undefeated through the whole regular season. If you lose in the first round, you aren't making anything. You ain't getting any money back. So make sure you keep pushing and get it going. Let's go get it, champs. Season's here. Push strong. Let's go. Playoffs are around the corner.
Hell yeah.
That's all. Peace out, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. You didn't have to do that. Thank you.
Good way to finish it out.